Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Shadow Blade build guide from Baldur's Gate 3. This will be combining the Gloom Stalker Ranger, the Rogue, and the Warlock to create something extremely powerful. Now you can use the ring version of the Shadow Blade, but we can also go with a permanent version. I'll have a link in the description. It is extremely easy to do. Now this weapon's incredible. It does a 2d8 of psychic damage, which we can easily double. So we're going to be starting with the Ranger here. Now, this gives us an easy way to get heavy armor very quickly in the game, so we could go with the Ranger Knight here. This gives us heavy armor proficiency. As for our Natural Explorer, I think that going with a Cold or a Fire Wasteland Wanderer is best, although the Beast Tamer to get a free Find Familiar is quite nice. This just allows you to tank one more hit. Also, you can summon the Raven and they can blind targets, which just further stacks with this weapon. But I'm going to go with the Fire Wasteland Wanderer because the fire resistance is really nice just to have. If you're a Tiefling, go for the cold resistance. And as for our ability scores, we're going to be heavy on the dexterity. As well, we do want a bit of our wisdom, but not too much. We actually do want to focus a little bit more on our charisma, as the Warlock is going to add in some charisma base. We're going to want a bit of a charisma base for that. Now, this is a bit of a multi-attribute dependent build, so you can dump your strength since the weapon will scale itself off of the dexterity. So we can go with something like that, and then take some points in our constitution, about 14 to maybe even 15. So somewhere around here, and then you can put the last 2 points into wisdom, as wisdom saving throws are really important. And we're typically going to be mostly picking stats from any skill from the ranger is not going to be one that we're focused on dealing damage with. So something like this can work great, although you can dump it down to take it somewhere like that. So that's what we're going to work with. But if you're the face of the party, you can take the Hag's Hair on your charisma. So we're going to go with this for our overall stats. Now, this build is incredibly powerful. I'll be showing you just quickly here. We have 2 permanent Shadow Blades there, and they get a lot of damage. So even without anything, it's upwards of 30 damage, and that's not even including the vulnerability that we can apply. That's upwards of 60 damage from a weapon attack. Incredible. Now, we get to choose our spells at level 2. Ensnaring Strike does require you to have a higher wisdom, so that is a little bit unfortunate. However, we can go with like a Long Strider to increase movement speed by 3 meters, which is absolutely useful. I also really like Fog Cloud. This blinds and heavily obscures creatures within it. If you're using the ring as a concentration, you can't concentrate on this as well, and really any of these concentrations. That's why I recommend going with the permanent Shadow Blade, as it's really easy to do. So we're going to take Hunter's Mark, because this will actually deal additional psychic damage, believe it or not. And then also it can give us a bit more damage, but we're going to go with both of these here. Ensnaring Strike is a nice one to take too. As for our fighting style, there's one that really stands out to me, with defense being great for armor class. But if you have 2 Shadow Blades, 2 weapon fighting is just by and far the best option, because it's going to give us a bit more damage on our weapons. Because we're going to add our ability modifier, and that gets added as psychic damage. So really good. And you could go with defense though for the +1 armor class. Never a bad idea. Now at level 3 we get to choose our subclass, and we get to pick another spell. I think Long Strider just works well. Doesn't require concentration, it's a ritual. And the Gloom Stalker will give us a +3 to our initiative, additional movement speed, and the attack deals an additional 1d8. Another nice thing about that 1d8 damage, it's also psychic, so that's basically 1d, or I guess 2d8, because it doubles the damage. So that's like upwards of 16 extra damage. We also get Dark Vision up to 24 meters. That's really nice. And we get our Dread Ambush or Hide, so it's a nice bonus action there, as well as the Umbral Shroud and Disguise Self. So lots of nice stuff in this build. The Ranger itself is not a bad class, but what we add to it makes it above and beyond the others. So we get a feat now, and I would say that the best one to go with is our ability score improvement, because this just gives us additional dexterity for hit chance. We'll want increased charisma later on. At level 5 though, this is our power spike, where we get an extra attack and Misty Step. Pretty great stuff here. So for our next leveled spell, I think it's good to go with something like Spike Growth, although this is a concentration, and typically you'd prefer to have a druid cast it. There's just not that many awesome options for us unless you want like speak with animals, but there's so many potions for that, so we'll take Spike Growth. I also get a free Cast of Darkness because I'm playing as a drow. It just goes further to this great build. Now, we're not going to continue on the Ranger. We're actually going to add in the Warlock here, and obviously we're taking Eldritch Blast. Take Friends if you're the face of the party. Minor Illusion actually works fantastic here because you can group enemies away from you, and then you can do your stealth shenanigans to take them out. Now, for our subclass, the Great Old One has some merit because it can give you a, whenever you land a critical hit, enemies nearby must make a wisdom saving throw or become frightened, which is really nice. But the Fiend also works really well too because we get Armor of Agathis, as well as the Dark One's Blessing, which will give us temporary health, just giving us a little bit more survivability. And it also gives us access to Fireball, which is not something you need, but it's nice to have. So you could go with the Great Old One for the critical hit bonuses, because we're going to be hitting critical hits. That's kind of what this build's about, kind of. So you could go that. I'm just going to go with the Fiend, because I like the spell selection a little bit better. But as for our spells, we already have Hunter's Mark, so Hex doesn't really give us any extra benefit. So taking Hellish Rebuke to give us a reaction is really nice, since we don't really have any reactions. Command is another great choice for crowd control. So you could take Command as well, and then we'll take maybe Armor of Agathis at next level. But the Fiend just gives us the fire damage, which is nice, and temporary health. Now, as for our Eldritch Invocations, Agonizing Blast add our Charisma modifier to the damage is awesome. And I usually go Repelling Blast. We actually might be best off going Repelling Blast and Devil's Sight, and then level 5 we'll take the Agonizing Blast. Since we're a ranger too, bows are something that we use, but we're typically want to go in and stab. Devil's Sight, however, this allows us to, since we already have Dark Vision, you may think this sucks, but hey, the thing is, Devil's Sight's the only way you can see in magical darkness. So the darkness spell, you can only see if you have this. So that Dark Vision that we get from the ranger is kind of not as good as Devil's Sight. So that's why we're taking Devil's Sight, because we want to cast darkness and then hide in it and get our advantage on attacks and go hard with that. Now for our next leveled spell, we already have Misty Step, but that's a fun one to take. I actually like Hold Person quite a bit because this gives us free critical hits, and if you went with the Great Old One, it stacks very well with that. As for our Pact Boon, we're obviously going Pact to the Blade to get 3 attacks. However, if you're on Honor mode, it might be better to go Pact to the Blade, or Pact to the Chain, because the Pact to the Blade won't stack with the extra attack from the Ranger. So if you are playing on Honor mode, you can go Pact to the Tome or Pact to the Chain. This will give us Vicious Mockery, which is pretty fun, but Pact to the Blade gives us a nice packed weapon that we can use our Charisma modifier for, which will level up on our next level. So that's how we get our extra attack, and then we'll now be hitting. We'll take this, obviously, in Charisma. As for the next leveled spell, I think that Invisibility is actually a pretty good one to take. Touch a creature turned invisible, attacks against it have disadvantage, and attacks with advantage, which is nice. We do get advantage from a lot of sources, though, so you might find this to be a bit lackluster. I forgot this one, Darkness. We already have Darkness from the Drow, but this spell is our bread and butter. We have Fog Cloud, which works well too, but as for the cantrip, Friends or Bone Chill to stop target from healing, and we want the ability score improvement. So Darkness, hello Darkness, my old friend, makes this build strong. We get our Deepen Pact here, which gives us an extra attack with our Pact weapon. Unreal. If you took Pact of the Tome, you get Call Lightning and Haste, which is really nice. And you also get Animate Dead, which is another really good spell. Now, at this level, you could take Counterspell. Hunger of Hadar is also a really nice concentration, although we can't really go into our own Hunger of Hadar because we will take damage. That's the only unfortunate part about this, is I wish you could find some way to resist Hunger of Hadar. Unfortunately, it's still going to damage you, so you can still take it. It's a great option, but we're going to be oftentimes having our concentration held with Darkness or Fog Cloud, so this one may just get pushed to the wayside. So for that, I would recommend taking Fireball, because it's just a good spell. If you see a lot of enemies grouped together, sometimes it's just best to drop a Fireball on them. And we have a nice +4 Charisma, so Fireball will land. Now, we can take our Agonizing Blast here. This will give the Charisma modifier to the Eldritch Blast damage, which is really nice. I also really like Beguiling Influence, which gives proficiency in Deception and Persuasion, which is great outside of combat, but inside, if you find you're not using Eldritch Blast, take the Beguiling Influence, and even like Beast Speech if you didn't want Repelling Blast, but it's nice to have a pushback. I'm going to take the pushback though, that's just great to have. Now, for levels, I wouldn't say to continue with the Warlock. I would actually say the best choice is actually go with the Rogue Thief, because we're going to have a lot of advantage. Now, the 1d6 damage from Sneak Attack also becomes Psychic, so that is upward to 12 extra damage. We want that. And we obviously want to take Stealth. Sleight of Hand's good too. But you can even go with like Acrobatics just to resist being shoved, which is really nice. So we'll go with something like that. being able to resist being shoved can be a game changer for some people. So, however, once we get to this level, we already have all of these. So we got them from the Gloomstalker Ranger. I propose adding in the fighter because that'll give us the second win, which is a nice 1d10 plus 1 healing. And in addition, we can finally take our defense, get our +1 armor class, or even archery. So that could be a really great option. We could also go with that cleric. The war cleric will get bonus action attacks. So that could be another option. It'll give us further spell slots, and we could take something like Healing Word and Create Water, which works well with certain builds too. You can even go Tempest Cleric if you want to have the reaction, but we already have Hellish Rebuke. I do think that adding in the fighter to take defense is great because it's just a way to get a heal and a little bit extra health, and also get the fighting style. So pretty good stuff there. You can also take the archery if you want to have an increased ranged weapon attack chance. But yeah, I'll be going over this build now. So we're going to bind our pact weapon here, which allows us to bind the Shadow Blade, and we got pretty good attack rolls with it. For some reason, our offhand has a higher hit chance, but our damage is a 2d8 plus 4, and then the offhand is a 2d8 plus 8. So it's taken our strength modifier since I have the strength potion on. So if you don't bind the pack weapon, or if you're in honor mode, drinking the health potions will give you additional psychic damage. So that, I guess that's why the damage is higher, is it's taking charisma versus our strength, and our offhand is based on strength. So it's actually funny having offhand be stronger than your main hand, but that's how we can get the 3 attacks. We have a 26 armor class, which is awesome for not wearing a shield. If we pushed our dexterity higher with the Hag's Hair, that'd be 27. So Helm of Baldurin, shoes, cloak, and ring of protection are all going to be giving us the +1 armor class. I like the Helldust gloves for +1 spell attack rolls and spell save DC, and additional 1/6 fire damage. However, if you didn't take this, you could use the Glove of the Balanced Hand to give yourself an offhand weapon attack, or give your ability modifier to the offhand weapon attacks. I actually just think that it's good to go with something like that. Or even the Frost Giant gloves are pretty nice if you're in Act 3. Earlier, you can go with the Dark Justiciar gauntlets. There's a few different options that you could go with for earlier in the game. I don't all have them in my inventory here, but as for the strategy, I like to have the Gaunter Mail on too, because this gives us a Celestial Haste, which is really effective. I also got the Killer Sweetheart for critical hits, but typically how we want to approach combat. So darkness is our friend, so we can heavily obscure targets, but we can also go with a Fog Cloud, which is a kind of a similar thing, because this will give us advantage on attack rolls against slightly or heavily obscured targets, which will be done by either Fog Cloud or Darkness. So you can start with Fog Cloud. Everyone's going to end up moving their way out of it. But you could even use like the Darkness, which is a little bit bigger, and you can see in Darkness, which is awesome. So we can go ahead and sneak attack from this, which is going to be a little tricky. Oh, Halston's walking into it. Cool. So there we got our sneak attack, and we can attack and hit pretty good damage. 64 psychic damage. Wow, yeah, that's pretty good. So 36 psychic damage. Just depends on your rolls. You can get some pretty high damage rolls there, so that is insane. We'll hit Halston again. Basically, you can take people out in a couple hits. Yeah, 32 damage from psychic. Now, I am using the Resonance Stone here, so this gives us Steeped in Bliss, which gives vulnerability to psychic damage, allowing us to do insane numbers with this. So even if we're not doing a sneak attack, still 34 damage on an attack roll is incredible. So that's nothing to snuff at. And even just with the regular attack, oh, we missed. Offhand attack 26, 32. So yeah, the damage that we got from this is just ridiculous. Yeah, you can take out people faster than ever. So that is a huge benefit of that, is the damage is absolutely ridiculous, and it can be used in Fog Cloud or even just your regular Darkness. So either one of those, 32 damage, it's crazy. This build is so powerful. Being able to hit 36 with your offhand and an additional 2 fire damage, that's just crazy. So that's the nice thing about this build, is you got a lot of stealth abilities. You got crowd control. We got hold person, so if you hit hold person, goodbye, they're done. Hold person will allow you to hit critical hits. We don't have a lot of spell slots, but we don't need them because we're going to be dropping a lot of damage. And you can also go with like Fireball if you want a bit of a different spell. Just as you can see, the damage numbers are pretty crazy from that. Minor Illusion's great for grouping enemies together before you start combat, but once it starts, you just want to go stabby stabby, 28 and 30. We're hitting some serious numbers with this. That was 47 damage with an offhand attack. So yeah, this build is crazy. The numbers we're hitting with this are out of this world. This is probably the strongest build that I've ever seen in Baldur's Gate 3. If you don't have the, if you don't want to do the permanent one, you can just use the Shadowblade Ring and use them that way. But it requires concentration, and this way we can get 2 of them, and it's really easy to do. I could literally do it right now, but I do another video on that. So yeah, that was the fastest I've taken out my party. It's incredible how powerful you are. So yeah, you can literally just stab people, and the damage you do is crazy. 30 damage right there. So yeah, this is a Shadowblade build guide for in Baldur's Gate 3. I'll even just show you. See that additional damage from the Gloom Stalker? You get it on the Shadowblade. So that's ridiculous. We are incredibly powerful with 3 attacks. He's got an opportunity attack there. That's fine. We'll just keep stabbing away. And yeah, we were able to take him 2 hits. That's ridiculous. So Shadowblade, don't underestimate it. It will wipe you out. So thank you so much for watching. And if you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.